Throughout history, humanity has repeatedly faced moments when survival demanded bold change, yet the path of comfort, familiarity, and the known often proved too seductive to resist. From empires to small towns, the story is always the same. Choosing comfort over adaptation might feel safe today, but tomorrow, it can be catastrophic. In this episode, we explore 10 pivotal moments when survival required change, yet people clung to comfort and paid the price. Each story is a dark lesson from history, with echoes that still reverberate in today's world. Warning 10. Late Roman landowners and tax reform. In the 4th century, as the Western Roman Empire teetered on collapse, landowners resisted vital tax reforms. Emperors attempted to redistribute tax burdens to stabilize the economy, yet wealthy aristocrats fiercely protected their privileges. They kept their estates intact and avoided the immediate pain of change, but Rome was bleeding resources. Barbarian invasions exploited the cracks in the system, and once the empire fell, these same landowners lost everything. Present-day parallel. Modern bureaucracies and entrenched elites often resist digital and economic reforms, preferring familiar structures even as markets evolve. Future warning. Will today's resistance to necessary change doom organizations and governments in the next global crisis? Warning 9. Qing merchants resisting industrial methods. During the late Qing dynasty, local merchants clung to centuries-old handcraft traditions. They feared mechanized production would disrupt social hierarchies and reduce profits. Meanwhile, European industrial goods flooded Asia, leaving resistant merchants behind. The comfort of tradition outweighed survival. By the early 20th century, Qing commerce had stagnated, unable to compete in a rapidly industrializing world. Present-day parallel. Family businesses today that ignore automation and digital tools risk collapse in competitive markets. Future warning. Are we ready to face the consequences if comfort blinds us to technological revolutions? Warning 8. Ottoman guilds blocking factory systems. Ottoman guilds monopolized craftsmanship across cities like Istanbul and Bursa. When factory production began spreading from Europe, guilds fiercely resisted, fearing loss of control and prestige. While Europe mechanized, the Ottoman economy lagged. Comfort in tradition prevented adaptation, and centuries of potential growth were lost. Present-day parallel. Labor unions or professional bodies can resist necessary modernization in industries, delaying innovation and survival. Future warning. Could similar comfort-driven resistance prevent entire nations from thriving in the next industrial revolution? Warning 7. Medieval Europe resisting crop rotation. Before the agricultural revolution, European peasants often stuck to monoculture farming because it was familiar and safe. They resisted early crop rotation methods, fearing unpredictable yields. This comfort came at a deadly cost. Crop failures and famine swept across regions that might have survived with simple adaptation. Present-day parallel. Industries and governments that cling to outdated methods in agriculture or resource management risk large-scale disaster today. Future warning. Will humanity fail to adapt to climate change due to the seductive comfort of familiar methods? Warning 6. Feudal Japan peasants rejecting migration. During periods of famine in feudal Japan, peasants were offered resettlement or migration to fertile lands. Many resisted, fearing the unknown and clinging to ancestral villages. Those who stayed often starved or became impoverished, while communities that embraced change survived and sometimes thrived. Present-day parallel. Migration and relocation remain controversial globally, yet refusing mobility in crises can mean literal survival risks. Future warning. Are today's urban populations too comfortable to adapt to environmental or economic displacement? Warning 5. French wine regions ignoring phylloxera science. In the 19th century, phylloxera, a tiny insect, devastated vineyards across Europe. French vintners initially ignored scientific warnings, trusting traditional practices and local folklore. The comfort of routine led to widespread vineyard destruction. Only after adopting grafting and foreign rootstocks did recovery begin, but many regions never fully recovered. Present-day parallel. Modern agriculture still sees resistance to scientific advice, whether in crop disease management or sustainable practices. Future warning. Will ignoring science for the sake of tradition trigger larger ecological disasters? Warning 4. British coal towns denying decline. By the mid-20th century, coal towns in Britain clung to their industry, resisting mechanization and modernization. Union leaders and town councils often framed change as betrayal. Comfort in familiar work delayed adaptation. When coal demand declined, entire towns faced mass unemployment and social collapse. Present-day parallel. Resource-dependent towns worldwide resist diversification, making them vulnerable to economic shifts. Future warning. Can communities dependent on outdated industries survive the green energy transition? Warning 3. Soviet factories resisting automation. Soviet factories were built for quantity, not efficiency. When automation technology emerged, many managers refused, citing fear of worker unrest or bureaucratic complexity. This resistance slowed production, wasted resources, and made Soviet industries increasingly uncompetitive against global standards. Present-day parallel. Corporations resisting AI or robotics due to comfort or fear of disruption may fall behind competitors. Future warning. Will comfort with legacy systems cause nations or corporations to lose global relevance? Warning 2. Kodak rejecting digital photography. Kodak's executives famously ignored digital photography in the 1970s, preferring the comfort of film profits. Digital technology was disruptive, but Kodak's brand and market dominance made leaders hesitant to change. By the 2000s, digital cameras dominated, and Kodak filed for bankruptcy. Comfort had become the silent killer. Present-day parallel. Any industry ignoring digital trends from media to banking risks sudden collapse. Future warning. Are today's giants too comfortable to embrace radical shifts that threaten short-term profits? Warning 1. Modern cities ignoring climate change adaptation. Today, many cities resist adapting infrastructure for climate change. Flood defenses, green architecture, and sustainable transport are often sidelined because building and planning reforms are uncomfortable and expensive. The cost of comfort is mounting. Heat waves, floods, and economic disruption hit unprepared populations. Future-oriented warning. If cities continue to prioritize short-term comfort over necessary change, entire populations may face catastrophic consequences within decades. History is unforgiving to those who choose comfort over necessary change. From empires to cities, we see the same pattern. The familiar feels safe, but survival demands adaptation. Each of these 10 stories is a warning that comfort can be a trap, and ignoring change can cost everything. Call to reflection. Are we ready to confront our own comfort traps before they become disasters?